Good Sunday morning. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Chrissy Kohler bringing you the 11 a.m. update on Tropical Storm Debby. You'll notice that the one thing that's changing here is the intensification of this system. It's now up to 65-mile-per-hour winds, so still a tropical storm at this point. That lowering pressure, though, indicating that it is strengthening here, and we're starting to see an eye wall form as well. Still moving to the north-northwest at about 13 miles per hour, so not a lot of change there in the pacing at this point. As of 11 a.m., it is sitting off the coast of Tampa, bringing some heavy rains to the coast of Florida here. It's expected now to be a hurricane by about 8 o'clock this evening, if not earlier here. So over the next couple of hours, we'll continue to watch for that intensification up to those 75-mile-per-hour winds, and then continues to strengthen. So possibly a 90-mile-per-hour winds with this Category 1 hurricane as it makes landfall early tomorrow morning along the Big Bend of Florida. That track nudged a little bit further to the west there. That is looking like about a 8 o'clock landfall tomorrow morning, and then continues to move through South Georgia. So this really hasn't changed a whole lot with this current track, is that it's still slowing down as it moves through South Georgia and makes very little movement throughout the day on Monday. So by the time we get to Tuesday morning, it's sitting near Vidalia, Georgia. By Wednesday morning, it's around the Beaufort, South Carolina area, and then continues to slowly work its way to the north, finally moving up into North Carolina by the time we get to Friday morning. So this is going to be a long duration system here for Georgia and South Carolina. The latest track has been nudged just a little bit further to the west, keeping the system mainly onshore. It could briefly come off the coast there, off of the coast of Beaufort, and possibly out over the Atlantic waters. However, it doesn't look like it's going to be offshore enough to really allow for some strengthening there. Keep in mind, there's still a lot of variability here in this forecast, whereas you look at these models, they're still kind of all over the place. So there's still the possibility that we see this track a little further east. That easterly trajectory would allow for more strengthening as it's out over the Atlantic Ocean, making for a stronger tropical system before possibly making another landfall in South Carolina. That further westerly trajectory would allow for, excuse me, a weaker storm, but possible bigger impacts for the upstate in terms of the amount of rainfall that we are talking about. And the rainfall is really what's got us so concerned. You've got, of course, the onshore flow. As long as that center of circulation is south of the area, so places like Savannah, Charleston, going to be dealing with that onshore flow, Myrtle Beach, all the way through the day, Monday into Tuesday. Not really starting to see any relief from that onshore flow until you get maybe into Wednesday, but that's still going to be dealing with that under the Grand Strand. Grand Strand doesn't get a break from the onshore flow until we get into Friday as that system lifts up to the north. So as long as that center of circulation is to the south of these areas, you're going to be getting that onshore flow. So you got the winds pushing the water up against the coastline. So that's problem number one. And then problem number two is the amount of rain that we're looking at, with parts of the low country possibly getting 20 to 30 inches. This is down around the Beaufort area, down around Walterboro, Charleston, in line to get 16 to 20 inches of rain. This is nearing historic proportions. This would be in line with what we saw out of the 2015 historic flooding, that thousands-year flood. This would be more than Hurricane Matthew. This would be more than Hurricane Irma. So this would be a prolific flooding event if this plays out this way. If you look up towards Myrtle Beach, back in towards places like Somerville, this is more in the 12 to 16 inch range, which is going to do a lot of damage. This is going to create a massive flooding event for this part of the South Carolina. Even back into, as you look into the Midlands, we're talking about 8 to 12 inches of rain. Through the upstate, more so on the south side of I-85, maybe 1 to 2 inches. 2 is probably generous. But again, a lot of that has to do with the track. If it tracks further to the west, we are in line to get higher rainfall totals. If it tracks further to the east, that actually gives us a dry forecast. There is potential that if it goes far enough east, we end up with no rain out of this system. So this is the latest look at what we call our short range data. This is putting a landfall at about 7 a.m. there. It's a little further to the east than the center of the official hurricane track from the National Hurricane Center. And again, there's still a lot of uncertainty on the track on this. But it does look like that landfall is a good timing there. About 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, moving onshore and around Florida, and then slowly working its way up into South Georgia. So that rain starts in parts of the low country as early as noon tomorrow and continues throughout the day. And again, you just see that persistent onshore flow as we head throughout the day on Monday, the rest of Monday, Monday night into Tuesday. So Tuesday, 8 o'clock, that center of circulation nearing the Savannah area. Once it gets north of Savannah, then you start to see some of that off flow. So that helps with that, that helps with the coastal flooding there. But this particular set of data actually pushes the center of circulation off the coast of Charleston by 8 o'clock on Wednesday morning, allowing for more and more of that moisture to get pumped that way. That gives us a drier forecast here across the upstate, just a few of those isolated outer bands, but it spells bad news, of course, for the coast. This is a look at what we call some of the longer range data. It's not as well defined. It doesn't give us as good definition as to the exact showers and thunderstorms, but it gives us a longer range look at the forecast here, where you can see Monday, again, in the evening, we've already got the onset of that onshore flow, getting those showers going across the low country, up into the PD, as well as the Grand Strand, even the Midlands, getting some of those outer bands out of this system. This particular one actually does bring us some of those outer bands as we look into the day, Tuesday into Wednesday. But we're really kind of just getting brushed with the far outer bands. So don't expect to necessarily see overly heavy downpours, but certainly that gives us a chance to at least see a little bit of rain, mainly south of I-85. Same draw the drier side there into the mountains. And then this lifts up out of the Palmetto State by the time we get into Friday morning. So this is going to be a long duration event kicking off Monday afternoon, going all the way through the day on Thursday, finally starting to dry out as we look into the day on Friday. Again, there's still a lot of variability in the track. That means that the impacts for anywhere from the coast to the upstate and even the mountains could be changeable over the next several days. So you need to make sure that you're staying up to date on everything that's happening here. If you do have interest out at the coast, make sure you're headed down there today, or you've got those friends, family, whoever needs to be down there protecting your property. Make sure you're putting those things into place, because once we get into tomorrow afternoon, things are going to go downhill pretty quickly. And from there, you're going to have limited availability to be able to get things protected, your homes, your properties, if you have that down at the coast. Of course, the First Alert Weather Team is keeping you up to date on everything happening with Debbie. We'll continue to bring you those latest updates. We'll get another full update on this at 5 o'clock this evening.